Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to continue our notes on section 2.5, derivatives of formulas. And now we're going to get into some examples. So let's take a look at number 4. Find the derivative of this function f of x given here. So I'll encourage you to pause the video at this point and work out this derivative on your own first. And when you're ready, let's compare answers. All right, so first of all, we can look at what is the overall structure of this function. Well, if we go back and squint at it, what it looks like is a sum, right? We're adding terms or subtracting terms. So we're taking a sum and or difference here. So if we look back at our rule, if we have a sum or difference of functions, so this could be a negative here, adding or subtracting two functions, then to compute the derivative, we just take the derivative of each term. So if we want to write out longwise, f prime of x is going to be the derivative of 17x to the 10 plus 13 plus the derivative of 13x to the 8 minus the derivative of 1.8x to the dx plus the derivative of 1003 dx. All right, so now we can just compute the derivative of each term. So we see this first term here, that we have a product. And in particular, we have our constant that we're multiplying by. So the constant just comes out. And now we just take the derivative of x to the 10 dx. And similar to the next problems, we just have a constant being multiplied by each function, if you'd like, or each term with an x. So we have 13 dx to the 8 dx minus 1.8 dx plus, well, now we have 1003 d1 dx. All right, so our next step, we can see that each of the terms, so when you take a derivative of, is just a power of x. So I can put my little x to the, just x rather, is just x to the 1. 1 is just x to the 0. So we can use that when we compute the next set of derivatives. So now we have 17. So we have these powers on x, so let's use the power rule. So we get 17 times 10 times x to the 9. We need to subtract 1 from the exponent, plus 13 times 8 x to the 7 minus 1.8 times 1 x to the 0 plus 1003 times 0 times x to the negative 1. So a couple things I want us to observe here is when we just have, we look back at our work, when we just have a constant times x, the derivative is just that constant, 1.8. If we have a constant, like 1003, the derivative is that 1003 times 0. So that just becomes 0. So a few things to note here. Derivative of a constant times x is equal to that constant. And we saw that in the previous video with that example. And the derivative of a constant is 0. So those are some shorthands or shortcuts that we can also use. But so gathering up all of our information here, the derivative becomes 170 x to the 9 plus 13 times 8, whatever that is. We can consult our calculator if we want, or do it longhand. Or I can pause the recording and compute it for us. We get 104 x to the 7 minus 1.8 plus 0. So we don't need to include that. So our final answer is f prime, oops, I didn't mean to be that big. F prime of x is equal to 170 x to the 9th plus 104 x to the 7th minus 1.8.